Two Knicks Chicks family, welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady, and the Chef, joined by my co-host today.
21. What's good, people?
Nothing much. Your connection seems to be a little wonky. Hopefully, it's just on my side and not on the live end. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Let me see if I can see it really quickly. Um, I'll check it as we keep watching. But yeah, the only good, I'll get the good out the way first and we could start there. The
Good.
good starts, what was that? What you say?
Getting the good out the. I don't have anything good, any positives. So
Yeah, no, I'll start with the good. So the good, we'll start off with happy birthday to Mitch Robinson. Hope the Knicks can get a win today on Mitchell Robinson's birthday. But now getting to the nitty gritty because the Knicks do play in like the next 40, 45 minutes. The Knicks are 0-3 on their current road trip. All three defeats have been by double digits. New York has struggled against athletic defensive teams. And quite honestly, they haven't beaten a team with a winning record in more than 3 weeks. So they lost back on March 26th. That was last Thursday to Charlotte, 114 to 103. Then they lost on Sunday to OKC, 111 to 100. And then they just lost yesterday to Houston, 111 to 94. Going slightly back to the OKC game, I know there was some Knicks fans who felt like the whistle wasn't in the Knicks' favor. We know how that is when the Knicks play OKC or any team for that matter that plays OKC, that SGA, they're going to get the whistle. I don't agree with them all, but I don't want to put the blame on whistles and the refs not really engaging. Also, not to mention the Knicks were away. I know that this happened when the Knicks were playing them at home, but regardless, the Knicks have been an absolute disaster these last three games. It's been very hard to watch, and just them just not looking good. The Knicks did lose yesterday. Um, the problem started in the first quarter. I'm gonna be honest. They did not look like a team playing for a playoff seed. They never found the defensive stops needed. There was a lack of fight. The Rockets started off yesterday's game on a 16-1 run. And Cap was the only consistent player that was locked in. He finished with 22 points and 8 rebounds. Brunson didn't have a good game. He finished with 12 points. He was 5 for 14 shooting. And that was his team worst minus 26. OG finished with 8. He was 3 for 9 from the field. And Deuce shot 1 for 9. What are your thoughts on yesterday's game?
it's positive, but just overall, it's ironic that when the Knicks, when they go on these losing slides, that you could trace it back to where it started. And it seems like when they go on these skids where they have these losing streaks, it's always, like, I don't want to say always, but again, you trace it back because it started from like the Charlotte game. Like, I don't know what the, excuse my friend, what the hell was they thinking, sleeping on a team like that. Like, teams like Charlotte, Atlanta, they're clawing, they're jockeying for just to be a play in. And you can't take teams like that lightly. And not that they did, but it's like the fight, it's like, so it's like I said, so ironic. It always, you could trace it back to where it started. And it's like, you know, they go in these skids and it's like now they gotta crawl themselves, out of a hole. And it's just like it just goes downhill from there. It's like, and then it takes something for them to pull themselves out. But it's like, why do they got to go through those drastic measures? But that game yesterday, man, I tell you, Brown got to find a way to get Cat involved, man. Like,
Yeah.
and you got to get him involved early. Like, there's no way this guy's getting 5 touches in the first half of a game. Like, he's He's your primary scorer, just as well as Brunson is. And Cat
Mm.
could give you just as much as Brunson can. And why, this guy, man, Brown is just not utilizing Cat, man. I'm no ifs and buts, and it's just so painful to watch because partly it's him, but like we said in the last podcast, like a lot of that Brown has to shoulder. Um, they were like abysmal. Just what were they? 33 for like 50 something from the field goal. And I don't even think they were that high. I think it was like 23 or something because Houston was 33. But it's like, it's just so painful to watch because like they're capable and what they can do. There was nothing positive about this game.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I just thought the Knicks lacked the energy needed. OG Anunoby, like I said, finished with 8 points. He was 3 for 9, 2 for 8 from the 3-point line. Didn't shoot a free throw, has 6 rebounds. Josh Hart, 13 points. He was 5 for 12 shooting, 1 for 6 from the three, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He did have 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Mikal Bridges, 34 minutes, 7 points, 3 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from the 3-point line, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Jordan Clarkson with 10 points. He was 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 free throw lines, and had 2 boards. Deuce McBride played 13 minutes. He's easing back into the groove of things, so I'll give him some slack. But he just couldn't buy a basket as well. Only finished with 3 points. He was 1 for 5 from the 3-point line, 1 for 9 from the field. Jose Alvarado played a really good game. He played 12 minutes, had 12 points. He was 5 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, finished with 2 assists. Mitchell Robinson, 5 points, 5 rebounds. I want to touch because I do want to go back to Cat, but I want to touch on Jose Alvarado, and I have a follow up to that. Jose Alvarado, 12 points, 5 for 6 shooting in just 12 minutes. When he came in the game, he sparked a 7-0 run that cut the lead to 4. When he came in the game, the Rockets looked rattled. He brought good high energy to the game. So Brunson was off, Mikal was a no-show, OG was off. In the beginning, Cat wasn't really getting the ball, nor was he calling for the ball. So there was nothing from him there yet in the first half. But we've seen this before from Mike Brown, and I'm curious, and I want to ask you, why does Mike Brown sit the guy who's providing a much needed spark?
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed the same thing. And it, what you put it in Ron's like chat the other day. Like, what is his end game? What is his angle? Like
That was Tony Crow. Shout out to
Tony
Tony
Pro.
Crow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Like, what is his end game? Like, where's he going with this team?
right.
Like, and it's so ironic. And this gonna like kind of answer that question. I was watching a post game with MSG, Monica McNutt, and they had Steve Novak. He was calling the game,
Mm.
for MSG, and he says something that was like very interesting. I'm like, he says, "Oh, Brown was brought here. He was brought here and picked for the coach to get them to the postseason." I'm like, that's all well and good, but dude, like you're still vying for the third. Like, how about we take care of the regular season
First.
first, and then like all that will figure itself out. So it's like you take a guy out like that, know he has a hot hand, he's bringing that high energy because that's who Alvarado is. He's like that energizer bunny, same thing with Josh, but like the guy has the hot hand. Like it's not going to be Brunson every night, and it's not going to be Cat every night. You got to feed the one who has the hot hand, who's bringing you that energy. So it's like, why take him out? I don't have an answer, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, what is his end game? Where's he going with this team?
I read that Mike Brown doesn't always participate in the huddles. I did find a video on X where Josh Hart was do I have that video? Josh Hart. No, I don't have it. But Josh Hart was um, talking to the guys in yesterday's game,
Yeah.
and Brown was kind of maybe at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, standing kind of to the side with the typical hands in his pockets. And, that's fine. Sometimes coaches allow players to do that and get guys heads from out their butts to wake them up. But I don't know what Mike Brown is trying to accomplish here with this team. And like you said, what's the end goal here? It just, you know, I think the hiring of him was a little too quick because the Knicks, when they fired Tibbs, they did that too quick as well. You didn't really have a backup plan as to who you wanted and what you want to do. I think the firing of Tibbs was too heavily indebted on emotion because you're like, we need the championship. We got to win now. Blah, blah, blah. Dolan's going crazy. We got to get it now. Blah, blah. I'm getting tired of this losing. But you can't do that. The team was at a pace of growth. And you say this all the time. Under Tibbs, the Knicks played harder. They gave more. It's like Tibbs demanded more from these guys. And if you didn't do it better the next time. If not, Tibbs is, and I've heard players say Tibbs is like, I don't even want to hear it. Like if they trying to talk to him, he like, no, because Tibbs is stuck in his ways. I'm here. I don't want to hear what you got to say. If I told you to do that and you're not going to do it, whatever. So now I'm gonna hit you where it hurts. I'm gonna play around with your minutes and I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? So I just think that the firing of Tibbs was too quick with
Hasty.
no solid, it was too hasty and there was no solid background to what the Knicks wanted to do as far as coaching and the direction. And if you ask me, you was better off keeping Tibbs. I had my issues with Tibbs, but you was better off keeping him and giving him one more chance to see where he brought them this year. Then you could have made your move to let them go. So I'm not really sure what was the whole thing there, but let me ask you, have the Knicks, in your opinion, have the Knicks lost their defensive traits under Mike Brown compared to their defensive traits they had under Tibbs?
They lost a lot of things. I mean, e- even now as you watch these games, and this is even before the 3 game skid, but the 3 game skid is definitely solidified in my opinion, what I think they lost. They lost the physicality, like even their identity. It's like their role. Like, why is Cat still saying at the tail end of like his role? This guy should not be. That shouldn't even be coming out of his mouth. So
Yeah.
again, it's like, well, what is what are these guys' role? Um, just like again that defensive intensity. They lost that. You know, they just don't seem to have it.
Right.
And I get it. Every coach is different because they bring their own style. I get it. But uh, Tibbs. I mean, Tibbs. Like with them, they knew that out the gate.
Right.
And to me, in a certain degree, like even certain players, their numbers have dipped. Like definitely Cat. Um, Brunson, shout out to I don't know if I can put it in, but like hit him up NY. He said, when was the last time Brunson scored 40? Like, so it's like even his numbers, although it says, he's at X, he's 26 point something point, that's where he's at, and that's where he was at like last year. I think last year was like 27.9 or whatever. He's still ninth in scoring, but they lost a lot of things under Mike Brown.
Yeah. I my thought process was Mike Brown's um whole coaching scheme for this team this year was to bring a different identity for the offense. And I really haven't seen much of a change. Like, sure, there's some areas where the Knicks have gotten better, right? And you've seen them um, in certain areas on paper, the Knicks have gotten better. But you know how I feel about the whole what's on the stat sheet versus what's to the eye. And when you're actually watching the Knicks play. But I just don't know if Mike Brown is gonna if he's bringing everything that I think that Dolan and Leon Rose thought. I think he does a good job, as you alluded to. He says the right things, but a lot of times you're like, and we know the talent is here. I don't think it's an issue of the talent. I don't think per se if this is the exact roster that it should be done. But I also don't want to use the excuse of, well, he doesn't have all the pieces in place. You're not going to get a perfect roster. You can't use as an excuse, right? You still have to get the job done regardless. Um, After that game, Mike Brown made a comment and basically said, obviously, we got down big to start the game. I hate to sound like a broken record, but you do that against a good team and it's hard to come back. I think the togetherness is there now, like any other team throughout the course of the season. Sometimes you feel like it's not there, sometimes you don't. But if I'm talking overall, yes, I do. But tonight it wasn't, especially in a pick and roll. And there are isolated times where it feels like you're on a string defensively and or offensively. And tonight was definitely one of them, especially on the defense end of the floor. The last few games, we haven't had it. And teams go through stretches like that. We've got 6 more games to try to find it. Too late, buddy. Not only that, what kills me is how he says it wasn't, especially in a pick and roll. The Knicks haven't really utilized the pick and roll this season.
Gosh, yeah.
So I'm not sure where Mike Brown is coming from on that and why he's saying that. And while we're on the topic of Mike Brown, you know, when you look at um Mike Brown and what he's doing as far as coaching, right? Um there's been a lot of inconsistencies this season. And I think part of why the Knicks have been inconsistent this season, for one, the Knicks offense is predictable. Mike Brown was hired to come in and he came in with this new supposed offensive identity. But yet, when you watch the Knicks this season, Brunson's usage and field goals attempts have increased, but there's less involvement with the other 4 guys, Cat, OG, Mikel, whoever else. He's dribbling the air out the ball. And again, this is not an attack on Brunson. There's a lot of blame to go around for this season. This is not on just Cat. There's a lot of talk on Cat. Mikel is his own thing. And I think that's him. I do think some of it, again, it does fall on coaching because he's not being utilized properly. Cat specifically is not. But Karl-Anthony Towns has stated that Mike Brown told him that his role will be God knows what, because it appears that Mike Brown is trying to use Cat. And I remember you was mentioning this to me not too long ago that he wants to use Cat in a Sabonis-like role, which is keeping him in a box.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that we wouldn't get that because that was kind of like what Tibbs did to Isaiah Hartenstein. He kind of kept him in a box. Isaiah Hartenstein played well. Not gonna go and rehash that. That's in the past. But Mike Brown is not maximizing his skills. Not only that, you have Cat, OG, and Mikel who do not show up on a consistent basis as dependable options. The Knicks need a 1-2-3 punch on a nightly basis. The lack of length to protect the rim, and not enough players who could create off the dribble and attack the paint. I don't know if you want to add to that for why the Knicks have been so inconsistent tied into Mike Brown, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of it, again, some of it, half of it is the players, and the other half of it is Mike Brown, and it just seems like he tried to create this offensive identity that for this team is just not there. I'm sorry.
No, I you know, just just overall, like, you know, like how he's not utilizing Cat, because why is, these smaller, you know, players are fronting him and quote unquote taking him out of his game. And yet on the flip side, now you got these bigger, taller defenders on Brunson. So it's like, he's just not maximizing, utilizing this team. Um, and for, like I said, for you to tell a big that going in, he's gonna have to sacrifice and of a lesser role, then that's you're definitely not for the team. Um, he has this, this mantra where he wants these guys to spray, and then like you said, at what point do you say, okay, this is not working, so let's go back to what can work? How about let's try this. So it just wondering, like, what is he? Where's the tricks that he has on his bag? Um, yeah, I'm just so done, with Brown, quite frankly. I am. I'm just done with him. Um, you know, they, like I alluded before, they lost their identity, and it's I just hope that they could just make it to the post, and and at least the second round, at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm done with Brown.
Yeah, I wanted to show, because you get back to Cat and how you have brought up his limited role, and basically how Cat feels like you know he's he still doesn't know his identity yet on this team, which is kind of concerning at this point in the season to be saying such a thing. But I want to share this and show this video that I saw that Kat had mentioned.
Winding down, playoff seeding still in the works. How do you see the opportunity to head tonight against OKC?
It's a good time to test ourselves against the defending champs, and also against a team that's really disciplined and executes really well. So when you're in the playoffs, you depend on execution and discipline. So it's good to go out there and test our where our levels are right now.
All season long, you've answered questions surrounding understanding coach's system. You've had to sacrifice a lot. Where are you at with everything right now?
I'm still working through it. I'm still trying to figure out where I can impact our team and winning the most. And right now I'm just utilizing my experience so I can do the best I can.
Always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
you. There seems to be a disconnect with this team. It's not just a disconnect with Mike Brown and Karl Anthony Towns. There seems to also be a disconnect. I don't know if it's because these guys are losing, or I don't know if it's because, like you mentioned before, is it because they haven't bought into Mike Brown's system? But there's something off with this team that's not connecting. And the reason why I say that as well is because I saw this video as well, and I was like, well, what is that? What is that about? Let me show this video. So in that video, a fan caught Karl Anthony Towns sitting on the bench while all the guys was in the huddle. Why are you sitting down? You weren't injured. And I'm not trying to read into something that's probably not there, but there's still something going on, because you saw the video that I was talking about earlier where Josh Hart was talking to the guys on the bench. And even I saw where Brunson was just sitting on the bench, like looking like, we lost another. This is disgusting. We lost another game. So there's something going on with this team where they have nights where they can win. We sure at one point in the season when the Knicks went on an 8-game winning streak, they won 7 games. But you and I were both agreeing that the 7-game win didn't really hold enough weight because it was against these below 500 teams, these subpar teams. And then, like you said, you play against Charlotte, who looked like they wanted it more. Houston looked like they played and looked like they wanted it more. So I'm not really sure what's going on. And it's crazy. And then this is what Josh Hart had to say. I just think we're not going in the right direction. We're not trending upwards. So we've got to figure it out. It was 3 tough ones. We've got another one tomorrow. That's a must win for us and build from there. That effort, the attention to detail, the discipline was pretty embarrassing. So we've got to figure it out. Make sure we're all locked in mentally to get to where we want to go. Like I said, build on that. So even he's admitting what I've been saying all season. The Knicks lack discipline.
That's a problem.
It is. It's a huge problem. It's a huge issue with this team. It's embarrassing that you're losing these games that you should be winning. I had them 2-1 on this road trip. You go 0-3. And then you lost all 3 by double digits. And the thing is with some Knicks fans, I think a lot of us, we hold on to the past and what the Knicks did last year. And again, I could be completely wrong. And if I am, great. I want the Knicks to shut me up. But we're holding on to, some of us are holding on to what the Knicks did last year and saying, well, the Knicks are gonna they're gonna get out the first round and they're gonna be able to handle business against Detroit or Boston. The Knicks are the hunted.
Yep.
Detroit wants their revenge. Boston wants their revenge. So, and let's keep Detroit and Boston to the side for a second. You can play either Toronto, who sure the Knicks have had their way and like they've done against Denver and figured out how to beat them. Same thing with San Antonio. But that means nothing in the playoffs. You don't want to play Atlanta, who's been balling. You don't want to play Charlotte because the Knicks can't guard the perimeter. So you don't want to play Charlotte. You don't want to play Orlando. And I'm not saying the Knicks can't beat these teams. But what I'm saying is if you can't buckle down on the fundamentals now, why wait until the playoffs to try to all of a sudden figure it out? These last few games are your opportunity to lock in and tighten up those loose ends. And now when you start the first round of the postseason, you come in with that renewed energy. So these guys, there's a lot going on here that, again, for me personally, I think part of it goes on Mike Brown. I'm not sure what is Mike Brown trying to accomplish. I'm not sure what kind of offense or defense, for that matter, that's being ran. And then the other part of it is on the players individually, and then it's on the players as a team because they haven't figured out how to be good on a consistent basis. Sure, some teams have off nights and they're not going to win every game. But like I always say, it's the way and the manner and the fashion and the way the Knicks go about losing these games. So I'm not really sure, like, again, what's the end goal for this team? The Knicks shot 42.4% from the field, Houston 53. The Knicks were 10 for 34 from the 3, Houston 15 for 35. Free throws, both teams was tied at 75. The Knicks surprisingly did out rebound them in total rebounds. Same thing with offensive. Defensive, they got outbeat 32-29. There was 22 assists to Houston's 35. Knicks had 11 turnovers, 17 fast break points, 38 points in the paint, and the largest lead was 21 by Houston. So now you have a back-to-back that you're playing tonight against Memphis, who just lost to Phoenix Monday. But I think the point that I'm trying to make is you can't go in the playoffs and say, well, Detroit doesn't have any playoff experience. So, you know why? Detroit has figured out how to still win without Cade.
Yep.
Tatum is still getting his lick back. Tatum is out there balling right now. Like he ain't miss a beat.
Speaking of, and you just put up a point. Um, is experience more valuable in the playoffs than talent? Which one you think will get you to that next level?
I want to say both, but definitely the experience. Because
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
if you've been to the playoffs enough times, you know what's needed to not only get you out of each round, but to get you closer to that finals. And not just your conference finals, but the actual NBA finals.
And I'm glad that you answered that, because I mean I agree wholeheartedly. I think experience, because the Knicks have been there and they know what it takes. And I hear a lot of these people saying, "Oh, the Knicks, they seem bored and they just want the playoffs to come." That's all well and good, and yeah, we agree that experience, is, to me, is key. So with that being said, do you think that they'll be able to beat Detroit if they get up, if they get to the second round, when they get to the? Because I believe Detroit, but then again, I can't say, because they AC can easily knock off a number one seed.
Right.
So do you think the Knicks, because they have that experience, they can get past the second round? If you say an experience now,
Yeah, but the Knicks have experience and couldn't figure it out during the regular season. And I
well,
don't want to rely on what happened against Boston and we couldn't figure out how to beat them in the regular season, but they figured out how to beat them. I don't want to just rely on that. I still stand 10 toes by what I'm saying. The Knicks are the hunted. Detroit is and Bickerstaff are very salty about what happened against the Knicks. And same thing for Boston. Both teams want blood and they're going to put their foots on the Knicks' neck and not let go. I think the reason why it'd be hard for the Knicks to beat Detroit is because Detroit has figured out defensively how to stop the Knicks and make them play at Detroit's pace. Detroit makes the Knicks play half court offense and barely any defense. And the same way when the Knicks play Denver or the Knicks play, I forget what other team I wanted to name in my head. I had in my head just now, but Detroit looks so comfortable playing New York. And again, I understand that in the playoffs, things happen. You can have teams do like what Cleveland did last year and have the number one seed in regular season that you get knocked out in the first or second round. I get that. But this team is not the same team. They've learned, they've grown. Bickerstaff runs a tight ship over there, and these guys are ready. They're ready. They're ready. So I think the Knicks, you know, their two main teams that they have to worry about is Detroit and Boston. But even before that, I think the Knicks really need to focus on just taking it round by round. Because for all we know, you could have a team like Charlotte, Toronto, or Atlanta, and give the Knicks a beat down. And now we like as fans, oh my gosh, how is the Knicks, how we tied in the series or how you don't know. And the way the Knicks are playing right now, they're not locked in. There's something off with this team. Again, I don't know if it's a chemistry thing. I feel like these guys get along, but I think there seems to be some animosity towards they're not feeling what Brown is putting down. They're not feeling it and they're not buying into it. And I think there's some disagreements because if I'm on a team and I'm watching, I'll be like, damn, why isn't coach setting up the offense so Cat's getting that ball in the paint more? Why are we running a pick and roll more? You don't see this team doing that. It's very odd and strange. So that's what I'm saying. What is Mike Brown trying to accomplish? Because you're not going to tell me when we get to the playoffs, Mike Brown is going to switch up and make these adjustments. He's
Yeah,
not.
didn't even do it with Detroit. So
Right. We're going to be playing the same way. You let Golden State with C players, G League players beat you. There was no change. So I don't see where there can be any change that's going to occur from this guy in the playoffs. I don't. So I don't know. I did see where for tonight's game, Shaman has been cleared to play tonight, and then Brunson is out due to right ankle soreness, right?
yeah, Brunson is out. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, correct with Shaman. I mean, maybe that's probably why they, made Shaman available. You know, they it's like all hands on deck. Um, and Memphis, they're not playing so great, but guess what? People don't want the Knicks coming into their home and taking their crowd out of it and winning. You still got to play 48 minutes. And who's that guy that's going to show up tonight? Let's just toss a coin and we'll speak up off the tip. I mean,
Right.
and teams, and that's why I said the Knicks they get exposed so much, and teams like I said, man, kudos to whoever's their scout on their teams because the Knicks got a horrible scouting coach. Man, this guy he don't deserve the job because teams they know, hey, the Knicks are not this running gun. They can't match the quickness, the physicality. So and teams like their athleticism and teams that's how they expose the Knicks. You know, we're gonna do this and they can't match it. So how do you get Brown to counter punch other teams?
Yeah. I think though at the end of this season, not only do I think the only two guys I think to me would be safe because I think you would be kind of silly to get rid of Cat unless you could find somebody who's way better than him. But I think you got to keep Cat and Brunson. But to me, everyone else could be on the chopping block because the Knicks they lack height. They're too small. We don't have enough like actual length in the paint besides Cat and Mitchell Robinson. So to me, you have there's gonna be adjustments made to the roster for sure. But also I want to add that I think that the Knicks also need to clean up house amongst the coaching staff. Because I heard that the issue was when Tibbs was the coach, Tibbs didn't really listen to any feedback from assistant coaches. So is this the same issue that Mike Brown is having?
Hmm.
I doubt that. But if it is, we need some changes done because you mean to tell me, and I said this the last show and I'm going to keep saying it, the Knicks have been playing the same weak defense that they were playing before Thibodeau was even a coach. So who was the defensive coordinator? Who's supposed to be making those improvements and player development, team development improvements that haven't been made on this team? This team can't guard the perimeter to save their lives. They can't play man-to-man defense to save their lives.
Guard of Parker.
So I think that this team, and you got to get rid of Ariel Huck-Porty. You need a third big who can come in and give you more than whatever he's been doing. I don't even know what he's been doing, but you need more than that. So I don't I think that you have to not only look at the players, but some of those assistant coaches, you got about 11 of them sitting behind the bench. What are we doing here? Because we're playing the same bad cycle of basketball. And I'm not going to take away from what the Knicks improvements and what they've done. I'm not going to take away from that. But there has to be, you got to look at coaching as well, including Mike Brown. The last time the Knicks played the Grizzlies, they did defeat them 133 to 120. That was back on November 11th. Brunson had 32 points. So I'm curious to see how this team plays without Brunson. I'm really curious to see how the Knicks are able to handle this game without Brunson. Then the Knicks play again on Friday. They're back at home. They play Chicago. Then they play next Monday back on the road against Atlanta. And then
6 games left.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at. So yeah, they play today, Friday against Chicago, and then I'll save next week's games. What's your predictions for these next 2 games?
You're including today, right?
Yeah, today against Memphis and then Friday against Chicago.
Tell me, I'm a optimist, but they're turning me to a pessimist, man. But I'm gonna go. I'm still riding with my Knicks. I'm 10 toes down with them. I'm gonna still go 2-0. Hey, yeah, that's my prediction.
2-0. I have like a ton of sunlight coming in. Okay, let me move over because I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. I'm almost like, multiple choice, and I'm just like picking A, B, whatever number 1, 2, 3. Atlanta's going to be a tricky game unless they're having an off night, but that can be a trap game, and so can the Chicago game. But I'm gonna go 1-1 at this rate. I'm gonna go 1-1.
Say which one lose? Who you
No,
going with?
because it's tough because I think both games could be a trap game, Chicago or Atlanta, to be honest. So it's tough to say, but I'm gonna just go 1-1 with that. And we'll see. I think also these next 6 games, I think we all should be looking at if Mike Brown makes any changes. I'm not just talking about to the lineup or who starts, who doesn't start. It doesn't matter. Just like it's true, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, right? The Knicks can turn the corner, but if you have a player who's providing a spark off the bench and then you decide to sit them, I'm scratching my head why. And then you got guys like Mikal Bridges who disappears. We're not getting anything from him. And then what kills me is I noticed with Brown as well, he'll rather keep playing Mikal in for 36 minutes and then he'll give Jordan Clarkson less minutes, but Jordan Clarkson's giving you a lot more effort and energy. And I'm like, huh? And playing better defense. So I'm not sure what is Mike Brown trying to accomplish. What is the angle here? What does he have a trick under his sleeve that in the playoffs he's going to show us something different? I'm not going to hold my breath because I'll die. Because it's just not, it's not working. Some games, I think Mike Brown has to learn it's okay to sit Mikal Bridges down. It's okay to sit Brunson down if they're off. Sometimes you got to give those guys who's giving you a little bit more some minutes. He didn't even put Mo in the game.
Yeah, he played.
What you gonna do with that? 2 minutes. Come on now.
Yeah, I know.
He ain't even giving him no minutes. So I get it. You gotta let Deuce McBride get back in rhythm, but I don't know. This guy, and then hypothetically, if the Knicks do fire Mike Brown, who do they hire? Who do you hire in to replace him?
No.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I did see where I did save it on my phone. I meant to save it to put it on the slide here, and I forgot to do that. But I did read that Ian Begley tweeted. He said, league sources say Leon Rose has not been happy with Mike Brown's coaching and is strongly considering a change. possibly this week. Rose has reached out to Tom Thibodeau with a reunion on the table. Thibodeau coached the Knicks from 2020 to 2025 and led them to the Eastern Conference Finals. Eastern Conference appearance last year.
Now,
Which
maybe things.
what you say? You was cutting out.
I said, is that factual? Because people be creating these.
No, I saw it on X that he put that. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I'm like I think there are a good handful of good coaches that can bring the Knicks in the direction that they need. I just don't think Mike Brown is it. That hire was a little too fast, and yeah, I don't think that was the answer that they should have done and that they were looking for. But yeah, I don't know. Chat, what y'all think about that? I'm curious. Shout out to Nostalgic Nick. I hope all is well with you and salute to you. Hit him up, NYNJ. Salute to you. Hit him up, NYNJ said, only time we had a good start this season is up 27-0 against Utah. Yeah, the slow starts are a problem. Slow starts are a huge issue for this team. And I'm curious if the Knicks are going to be able to prevent a slow start tonight. Randu 1973, salute to you. Good evening. Hit him up, said, this is why I wanted the Knicks to hire that coach from Memphis. Who's that?
No.
Who?
No.
Taylor Jenkins?
Well, wasn't that Memphis' old coach?
I don't know. I got to look it up. Hit him up, NYNJ, say, Philly going to be crazy in the first round. Agreed. They're another team that I left out. Philly, Atlanta, Charlotte, Orlando. The Knicks have issues against Orlando. People think, oh, no, they're going to be okay. Love the confidence. Wonder Woman, salute. I'd rather have Josh Hart come off the bench. If the Knicks keep Josh Hart, in my opinion, he needs to be coming off the bench next year. Not a starter. Josh Hart is great playing off the bench. He gives you that energy. And also, the Knicks, that's another issue they have to address. The depth of the bench is still a bit weak. But if you keep Josh Hart, he has to come off the bench. Because it's nothing more painful to watch than when Josh Hart gets the ball a little bit above the free throw line, or sometimes at the top of the key, and he dribbles it and he looks to pass it off back to Brunson. He doesn't even look to create his own shot, because that's an issue this team has. We don't have guys that could create off the dribble, that could create space and get the shot off that they want. We have a lot of catch and shoot guys. We don't have guys that could do that. And sometimes Deuce can do it, but he's so short that he gets trapped once a guy just has to put his hands up. So yeah, if they keep Josh Hart, he needs to definitely be coming off the bench. I would be shocked if Mitch is still on the team next year. Yeah, I think the Knicks definitely have to make some decisions about Mitchell Robinson for sure. Inconsistent wing stop, McKellen OG. Yeah, it's a lot of inconsistencies for a lot of guys, though. The only one I would say who's been pretty consistent, he's had a couple of games where he maybe was doing too much passing or maybe was off, was Jalen, but for the most part, he's consistent. OG has had his couple of slumps, but he still played a lot better than Mikal. And I would keep OG as well, but I still think this team has to tweak this roster. Mikal is the first player I'm looking to get rid of. So,
Yes.
Knicks going to pull a Boston move to shed some salary and build around Brunson and OG if things go left. Yeah, they're going to have to figure it out. I'm sure there's going to be a big sweep. And to me, it needs to not just be on the players. I still stand by, I think some of these assistant coaches, you got to get rid of them. We're keeping people in place that it's like how sometimes a job is going, you know what, let's upgrade and change whatever system we're using. Employees don't like the change, but it's necessary. in the long run.
The Knicks,
So Randu said, and last night the Knicks needed Mo in a game because Houston has size in the front court. Exactly. I just think, you know, Brown would, it makes no sense. You bring Alvarado in, who was actually playing a good game, a rare good shooting night for him, and then you sit him down. And then he did that the other night or game or two ago when it was Cat playing a good game. So I'm just not sure, again, what is Mike Brown trying to pull here? It's very confusing. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I thought it was that he wanted them to play 4 passes, maybe 5 passes, then we get off a shot. But you still see the bad habits. I saw last night Cat came down and just popped the three, and the Knicks didn't even need that. I'm like, why? Why is that always the answer for this team, to rely on jump shots, to rely on threes?
that catching, man, that just irks me, man.
Yeah.
Ball movement, man. It's like
That's why I
everybody
say,
can touch.
yeah, and that's why I say some of the blame goes on Brown, but some of the blame also goes on Cat as well. And this is not a pick on, I'm not picking on him, but he has to want it and be more aggressive. You see how a lot of Knicks fans may not like how when Jordan Clarkson drives, it's unorthodox, but he drives to the basket. There's a difference.
Yeah, you know what? But a part of that could be because Cat feels, well, if he give that ball up, he's not going to get it back because
That's a good point.
they don't include him in the
That is
offense.
a
Like
good point.
so he's like, I got to get mine. Yeah, they're not the best shots. Some of them are horrible because you like wonder like, why? It's like a headbanger. You start scratching your head. But like when you have have a guy like that who's been an all-star, made the all defensive the accolades, and then now he's questioning his role on a team, and he should be inserted and integrated in the offense. Like sometimes you can't blame him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a great point. That's probably why Cat, he feels like he's not going to get the ball back. But sometimes when you watch Cat play, and someone was kind of like challenging me on Cat, and clearly they're a Cat fan, and it's not that I'm not, but they were trying to say, well, you saying Cat's been giving 25 a night and this, that, 22 points a night the last few games of playing good and giving you a double double. I'm not excusing the good that he's been doing. But my issue sometimes with Cat is that, and me and you were talking about this yesterday. You have Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Carmelo Anthony, Reggie Miller. These are guys who maybe not all of them won championships, but they knew how to be great in games and be aggressive and give what the team needed, whether it was a win or loss, but more so to get them that win. And if you're hearing several, and then I'll include Shaq, who is not exactly a Knicks fan, but if you have all these veteran greats in the league saying the same repeated sentiments about Karl Anthony Towns, it's like you said, they're not picking on him. They're giving you criticism and critiquing you to help you grow and get better.
but you know what? And I heard, I don't know, I think it was on, I can't think, it was a podcast just today. I don't know if it was Rob Perez and Mahorn, and it was them, Give and Go. And they mentioned that about how, a lot of people are giving Cat advice. And they was like, well, Cat was coached by his dad. It could be possible that his dad is giving him advice, and he could be listening to his dad just as well, and blocking all the things that what these people say. Because even Cat said, my Cat even said, my dad coached me from when I was young, because his father was a high school basketball coach. And so he could be, blocking all that out and just taking advice, from his dad. I don't know. I'm just trying to, figure out, why isn't he taking, their advice. I don't know if they are giving him any, but I truly believe they are, because remember Tracy McGrady, that game that they was playing? Oh my gosh. Was it the OKC game? And like
Yeah, and
Tracy McGrady,
him and Vince Carter had him like and was
yeah,
like talking to him, had their hands in his face, like, yo,
and
yeah,
and McGrady was just like, he was so like done with it, because it was like he was talking to him, but he just totally like just it like wasn't, they just he was probably just yesing him, and it
like
wasn't
yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
I hear you, brother.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or,
I hear what
he
you're
could have
saying.
been saying the opposite. Well, I got to sacrifice for the team, and it's not all about me. It's that, he could have been, spewing that to him, and
I'm sure it was
like,
that. It was more of that.
yeah, yeah, true. But so I think he's pretty much he's taking the advice from his dad probably, and everybody else is like, well, you don't know me, you just see me on the court. I don't know, but in any event, like you said, these are guys who's been there. Yeah, they might not have won a chip, but they have that pedigree and that experience, and they're
Exactly.
not telling you anything to hurt your game. They want to see you win, because like they say, they want to see you win. So it's to elevate your game,
Right.
you know?
And they're watching, like they're seeing what us as Knicks fans see. Like we're like, yo, why isn't Cat being dominant? Like when they played OKC, you had Caruso on you. And when Cat finally scored over him, Reggie Miller was like, yes. He said, now I want to see Cat do that again. And Melo called it at halftime. He said, yo, every time down, get the ball and just score, dominate. But Cat doesn't have, I don't want to say he doesn't have it, but he don't have it like, and I think this is also a team issue with this Knicks team. They don't have that killer instinct at jump ball. When that ball goes up for the jump ball, I need y'all to be like, yo, we getting rid of this team, and that's it. And the Knicks come out, they like it's too safe. Like you're trying to be like, oh, we're trying to. I don't know if you're reserving that for the second half, but you, this is why you're getting yourself in those positions of a slow start anyway. So they got to stop doing that. But I just my issue with Cat is you're getting the constructive criticism, but I don't like how Cat's approach is like, no, but I'm just trying to be there for my team. I'm trying to do, and the first time when we saw it, when it was on NBA Live, and Shaq was trying to tell him, and Shaq was like, big fella, that's not what I'm telling you. He said, you got to be great. You got to be aggressive. And Cat was like, no, 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 I know. He said, but what I'm saying, and Shaq was like, never mind with all of that. I'm trying to tell you. So when they finish, Shaq and Barkley are going back and forth. And Charles Barkley brought up a good point. He said, not every player has that mentality like you did, Shaq. And it made me go, oh, that's a good point. Because I said, maybe that's not in Cat's aura as a player. It's just like you always tell me how before I used to harp on Josh Hart. Oh, I need him. You was like, that's not his game. You want something out of a player that's not their game. And I guess with Cat, he doesn't have those instincts like that.
Tell him Minnesota, that's not his game. Like, because
Why he what?
why did he excel when he was in Minnesota?
But that goes back to Brown.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as a coach, you're not utilizing him. It's just like I want to say I heard Jeff Clapper, and shout out to Jeff. I heard him say one day, he said, I'm sure if the Knicks got rid of Mikel after the season, he said Mikel will probably play better on another team than he's playing on the Knicks. And part of that is that's where the blame goes on Mike Brown. You're not utilizing Cat, and to a degree, you're not utilizing Mikal Bridges to the best of his ability either. Now, again, same with Cat. Mikal has to take some of the blame as well. But the other 50% of it goes on Mike Brown. He's not utilizing his team. And another big stance of this is when you watch the Knicks and they have the ball on offense, the offense is either stagnant and the 4 guys are standing around waiting for Brunson to do what he's going to do. And now it's 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and we have to put off a stupid shot that doesn't make any sense. Or it doesn't really look like there's any plays being ran. And it's too much ISO with Brunson with the ball. Nothing's happening. So this team, it's not being ran accordingly. And I think Mike Brown has done some good with this team, right? They've made strides in certain areas as well, but they haven't been consistent. This was also an issue under Tibbs. There wasn't consistency. But I just think under Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks played harder, more aggressive. They were grittier. They wanted it more. And I just think under Mike Brown, I don't think these guys have bought into whatever he's putting down and whatever system. And I just don't think that he is. He can give all the praises he wants in pregame and postgame conferences, but there's something lacking here. And I just don't think that these guys are happy with him as the coach. And I'm not saying that you bring Thibodeau back and he's the answer. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think that when you watch these guys play on both ends of the floor, there's a disconnect there. The defense is weak. The offense is predictable. Mike Brown came here, and I guess Leon Rose and Dolan thought he was going to change the identity of the offense, and nothing's changed. Quite honestly, it looks copy and paste of what they was doing under Tibbs, just at a lesser version. Because we haven't corrected the bad habits either. So I don't know. I'm not sure with this team.
Just nothing to do with the Knicks. They just came across my feed. The Celtics scored 53 points in the first quarter. Dropped
Who they
53.
playing?
Miami. Browns possess.
Yeah.
But anyway, sidebar.
Yeah.
I digress.
Slow Runner 14, salute to you. If you're new here, welcome. Nice to see you here. Said Mike Brown has no clue. Knicks are never ready to play at all. I don't understand it. That's another thing. They never look like they're ready. When the jump ball, you were out there shoot around. So why are you not ready when the ref throws the ball up? It just seems like we're a step too, 5 steps too slow. It just doesn't make any sense to me with this team. Slow Runner said Clarkson outside of Brunson is the only Knick who can create his own shot. Yeah. But yet Brown likes to keep him toasting up the seats for the starters, keeping the seats warm. He's only really started playing him more after, was it the LA game or the Utah game? Clarkson started, the Utah game, he started playing him more minutes. I guess he realized, well, someone must have told him, like, yo, you got to put him in the game more. Hell, it probably was Leon or Dolan probably texted Leon and said, tell him to get that boy out in that game, and probably said, I don't want to see him riding that bench, which is true. That was the whole purpose of bringing him here. And I said this to you, Mike Brown would be a fool. 2 things. He would be a fool not to play Jordan Clarkson in the playoffs and give him enough minutes, because he can give you that spark off the bench. And if Mike Brown doesn't extend the rotation to even at least 9 guys, the Knicks are going to be doomed. They're going to have to play strategic. He's going to have to coach strategic. You're going to have to coach how Rick Carlisle had options. Relying on 5, 6, 7 guys is not the answer. They're going to burn out, and you have guys feet ready, Kolix, who can come in for you and give you something. Alvarado, I know he's going to get some, but you got to put those guys in. You can't just heavily rely on the 3 amigos when 2 of the amigos, or I should say the 4 amigos, when 2 of them may not even show up. Mikal is definitely one of them. We know what Cat and Brunson could do. OG, he may have game one of the first round, he may play well. The second game, he may disappear. But he may not be able to give you much because they're shutting him down. But what happens when a team puts the clamps on Brunson and slows him down? You have to go to other guys and have them in your repertoire. I don't understand this. I didn't even notice Sohan because he took the green out of his hair the other night. I was like, who is that? It's like Butch Brown 7, haven't seen you here in a while. Hope all is well. It says, nice to see you ladies. The coaching staff don't fit the players at all. And I'm a stick with that. I think the Knicks, in all honesty, you have to get rid of some of these assistant coaches on the team. We need a better defensive coach on this team. Because the Knicks are playing the same weak defense that they was playing before Mike Thibodeau was even here. They don't guard the perimeter. You can't play one man-to-man, one-on-one defense. And then when they do, again, Mike Brown did copy and paste and doing with the same thing Tibbs was doing. His focus is for them to protect the paint. So what happens is they double team and then they have to run out to the perimeter. And by the time they do that, it's too late because they're not a good recovery team. So when I say the Knicks have to clean up house, they got to clean up house roster-wise and coaching-wise. They have to fix things up. Slow runner 14. Knicks need to run more sets with Cat running the offense. Brunson needs to be more off ball because teams double him. Yeah, they figured out. He did Brown at one point. I don't know if you peeped this. He had Alvarado and Brunson on the floor at the same time. And Brunson was telling Alvarado, you bring the ball up. So Alvarado, because Alvarado's standing next to Brunson, like, you taking it or you want me to take it? And Brunson was like, you take it, which was the right call. That was and I was hoping Brunson was going to tell him, you take it. Because I said, no, let Brunson go down the floor. Because if you notice, not just these last couple of games, but this year under Brown, it is so hard for Brunson to score a basket. He has to do it's like playing a video game. He got to use every trick combo just to get a shot and get a basket. They're tough, great baskets, but he has to do everything in his arsenal just to get a basket off. It should not have to be like that. Because Mike Brown hasn't figured out how to utilize these guys and make the offense more fluid. I don't see enough pick and rolls. I don't see guys cutting. We were doing that for a couple of games, a handful this season, and the Knicks ran away from that, per usual, things we were doing under Thibodeau. Mike Brown just did copy and paste. He's here. I don't know. Are you here for a paycheck? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. This guy, it's like the Knicks got fraudulent charges they need to report with Mike Brown. Something is going on, I'm telling you. Randall said the problem with Mike Brown, the focus of his offense is 1 versus 4. The 5 spot is not considered a focus in his offense, and that is a big problem. Yeah. His offense is 1 through 4. Yeah, and I don't know why. And Diva Locks mentioned this one time, and again, I don't think she's reaching, but she was like, I wonder if Cat is not really Mike Brown's taste, the kind of player he wants. And it's so funny that I mentioned earlier how it seems like Mike Brown has put Cat in his box and wants him to play like he's Sabonis. And that's why he got out of Sacramento. You know, it was not just because of that, but I don't know. Butch Brown, Brunson ain't playing tonight, and Alvarado's playing the point. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we mentioned that his ankle. Kenta made music. Salute to you. Nice to see you here. If this is your first time, greetings to the chat and the Knicks Chicks. Kenta Me Music said, in my opinion, friendship and business don't mix. Cat's not in on the click. I keep hearing this. Shout out to Queen. She mentioned something very similar to this. She said, if you watch the games, it just seems like, she said, Brunson and Hart pass the ball to each other, and maybe Mikal and OG may get a touch, but they not passing it to Cat.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is that these things haven't been addressed. We're this late in the season and these things haven't been addressed. These should have been addressed even at All-Star break. And we should have started seeing the tweaks because there's still time at that point to still make the tweaks. Mike Brown hasn't made a damn tweak to anything. Plus, Mike Brown is a championship coach, to be nice. He was an assistant coach. Just like Tom Thibodeau. Someone was going back and forth with me in the comments from our last live, telling me, I think trying to say like I was saying Mike Brown's not a winning coach. I said, that's not what I'm saying. But when you look at both Thibodeau and Brown, they haven't won as a head coach. They won as assistant coaches. There's a difference. Yeah, I see Rondu let him know. Tibbs and Brown are the same. They don't alter their system to their team's players. Yeah. That's why I don't know if even bringing Thibodeau back would be a good idea. You just starting the washing machine in a different load. It's going to be the same cycle. So, yeah, no. But shout out to the chat. That's all for me. I don't know if Diva Locks has anything else.
If I put the gas.
Yeah, the Knicks, I'm not even sure what's the score right now. Let me see. Knicks up 24-16. I think the second quarter is about, the first quarter is 5 minutes and 47 seconds left. 24-16 Knicks is up, so we'll see. So Mikal has 7, OG has 7, Josh Hart 5, Karl Anthony Town 2 points. So we'll see. We'll be back with a recap, and we'll see what the Knicks do. Stay tuned for the next show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button as well, and leave us a comment. We love discussing all things New York Knicks. We do read the comments, and continue to support the channel. We're trying to grow the channel. And shout out to the replay gang as well. And share the show. Share it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your cousins. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you on the next show. Peace.